Take a slow breath in and let it drift out again, unhurried. Allow your shoulders to soften, your jaw to loosen, your eyelids to feel pleasantly heavy. You don't need to do anything at all. Nothing to solve, nothing to remember. Just notice the quiet around you, the gentle hum of the room, the subtle rhythm of your breathing, like a calm tide moving in and out. If your thoughts wander, that's perfectly fine. They can drift like clouds, passing without effort, while you remain comfortably here, safe, warm, and at ease. And as your breathing becomes slower, deeper, more natural, you may begin to imagine a place where mornings arrive softly, without alarms, without hurry. Our story today sets sail at the edge of a medieval town where the night is just beginning to loosen its hold and the sky carries a pale ribbon of silver-blue light. The town sleeps still. Stone houses rest shoulder to shoulder along narrow, cobbled streets, their shutters closed, their chimneys breathing out the last warm sighs of yesterday's fires. A gentle breeze moves through the lanes, stirring fallen leaves, brushing softly against wooden doors, as if whispering, "Rest, rest." At the far end of the square, where the stones curve into a familiar path, a single window glows. Inside that window, a baker is awake. His name is Edric. Edric rises before the sun each morning, not because he must rush, but because he loves the quiet hour when the world feels held in a peaceful pause. He moves slowly, deliberately, his footsteps steady and calm against the worn floorboards. The bakery is warm, wrapped in the comforting breath of yesterday's embers. The hearth crackles gently as Edric adds fresh wood, each small sound echoing softly in the stillness. If you listen closely, you might hear it too. The low murmur of fire waking up, the faint creak of beams settling, the slow, reassuring rhythm of a place that has known this routine for generations. Edric washes his hands in cool water, the soft splash echoing like a lullaby. Then he reaches for flour. Fine, pale flour drifts into the air as he pours it onto the wide wooden table, floating briefly before settling like fresh snow. In medieval towns such as this one, bread is not merely food, it is trust, it is fairness, it is law. There is an old rule here set by the king himself. Every baker must prepare one silent loaf each day. This loaf is not sold, not eaten. It is kept, set aside as proof that every other loaf weighs true and feeds the people honestly. Edric treats this silent loaf with special care. As he measures the grain, he does so not with haste, but with respect, using stone weights smoothed by countless hands before his own. The weights rest cool and solid in his palm, their balance reassuring, their presence grounding. You may imagine the slow scrape of wood as the dough is kneaded, the gentle press and fold, over and over, steady as a heartbeat. There is no rush. Time moves differently at dawn. Outside, the town begins to stir just slightly. A distant rooster calls, not sharply, but lazily, as if even the birds are reluctant to break the spell of sleep.
Edric hums under his breath, a tune passed down from his father and his father before him. The melody is simple, low and soothing, meant to keep the hands moving and the mind peaceful. As the dough grows smooth beneath his fingers, the scent of yeast and warm grain begins to rise, filling the bakery with comfort. This scent drifts out through the open window, sliding into the street, wrapping itself around doorways and stone walls, a quiet promise that the day will be gentle. Edric shapes the silent loaf carefully, round and even, placing it slightly apart from the others. This loaf will rest on the shelf, untouched, a quiet witness to fairness. There is something deeply calming about this practice, a daily ritual of honesty, repeated not with fear, but with pride. As you imagine the loaf resting there, perfectly still, you might notice your own body becoming more still too. Your breathing slows, your thoughts soften, your awareness settles into the steady warmth of the moment. The oven door opens with a low sigh. Heat spills out gently, never harsh, never overwhelming. Edric slides the loaves inside one by one, the silent loaf last. The door closes, the fire hums. Now there is waiting. Waiting in medieval mornings is not empty, it is full, full of listening, of breathing, of being present. Edric leans against the wooden counter, hands resting, eyes half closed. Outside, the first merchants begin to arrive at the square, their carts rolling slowly over stone. The sound is distant, muffled, like waves heard from far away. If your mind drifts now, let it drift. Let the warmth of the oven become a warmth in your chest, steady, safe, deeply comforting. Nothing needs your attention. You are simply here, in a quiet bakery, before sunrise, where the world feels kind and unhurried. And as the bread bakes and the town breathes itself awake, the story will continue, softly, slowly.
The oven breathes steadily now, a slow, comforting pulse of warmth. Edric does not watch the loaves anxiously. He trusts the process, the fire, the dough, the quiet wisdom learned through years of gentle repetition. He lowers himself onto a small wooden stool beside the hearth, the kind polished smooth by time. The firelight flickers across the stone walls, casting slow, dancing shadows that seem to stretch and yawn like sleepy companions. You might imagine that glow, too, how it softens edges, how it turns hard stone into something welcoming, almost tender. Outside, the sky lightens another shade, not bright yet, just enough to soften the darkness. A thin mist curls through the square, hovering close to the ground, slipping between cartwheels and doorsteps. It moves lazily, as if it has nowhere urgent to be. Edric listens. This hour before the market fully awakes is his favorite part of the day. There is no bargaining yet, no raised voices, only murmurs, footsteps, the occasional soft greeting exchanged between early risers. In medieval towns like this one, sound travels gently at dawn. Stone absorbs it, fog carries it slowly. Everything feels hushed, protected, as if the town itself wishes to remain half asleep just a little longer. Edric closes his eyes. He remembers learning this craft as a boy, standing beside his father in this same warm room.
Back then the table felt impossibly high, the sacks of grain impossibly heavy, yet the mornings were just as quiet, just as kind. The silent loaf has always been there. His father once told him, in a voice much like this, low and calm, that the silent loaf was not about fear of punishment, but about peace of mind. To bake honestly, his father said, is to sleep honestly, and Edric has slept well his whole life. The oven shifts slightly as the fire settles, a gentle crack, then another. The scent deepens now, warm crust forming, grain transforming into nourishment. Your own breathing may begin to match that rhythm, slow, steady, deep. Edric rises and stretches, rolling his shoulders softly, moving without strain. He pours himself a small cup of watered ale, a common medieval habit, safer than plain water, gentle and mild. He sips slowly, feeling the warmth spread through him, never rushing. Outside, the first market stall is opened, wood against wood, canvas unfurling with a whispering sound. A woman arranging apples pauses as the smell of bread reaches her. She smiles, without even realizing it. A child tugs sleepily at his mother's sleeve, pointing toward the bakery window, already imagining breakfast. The silent loaf remains unseen by them all, resting patiently on its shelf. It does not call for attention. It does not need to. Its purpose is quiet certainty. And in that quiet certainty, there is something deeply soothing. Edric opens the oven again. A wave of warmth rolls outward, like a comforting blanket. He checks the loaves, turning them carefully, ensuring even baking, a small, mindful movement done thousands of times before. As he works, the church bell in the distance rings once, not loudly, not urgently, just a single note, low and rounded, drifting across rooftops and dissolving into the pale morning air. In medieval towns, bells were more than signals. They were anchors in time, gentle reminders that life moved forward, slowly, together. If you imagine that bell now, let it mark not time, but relaxation, one moment gently fading into the next. Edric removes the loaves at last, setting them on the cooling rack. Steam rises softly, curling upward like breath on a cold morning. The silent loaf is placed carefully at the center, where it will remain until evening, untouched, unjudged, simply present. The bakery door opens. Cool air slips inside, carrying the scent of damp stone and early flowers. Leaves rustle faintly outside, stirred by the breeze. Customers begin to arrive, quietly, politely, their voices low, their movements unhurried. Coins clink softly, bread is wrapped in linen, grateful nods are exchanged. Edric greets each person warmly, never rushed, never distracted. And through it all, the silent loaf watches. It does not speak, it does not move, yet it holds something important, a promise kept. As the morning grows brighter, Edric feels a familiar calm settle over him. The work is done. The town is fed. Soon, when the sun is higher, he will rest, as many medieval craftsmen did, saving strength for tomorrow. For now he stands in the doorway of his bakery, watching the square awaken fully. If you are still listening, still imagining, you may notice how easy it feels to stay here, to breathe, to rest, to let the world move gently around you without asking anything in return. And as the day unfolds slowly beyond the bakery walls, our story has one more quiet turn to take, one final soft settling before it carries you fully into sleep. Fully, one peaceful moment at a time.
The square is awake now, but not hurried. Sunlight spills gently over the rooftops, warming the stone, softening the shadows. Edric steps back inside his bakery and closes the door, not firmly, just enough to keep the warmth in and the noise out. Inside, the world slows again. The fire settles into a quiet glow, no longer crackling loudly, just humming, a low, steady sound that feels almost like breathing. Edric cleans the table slowly, brushing away stray flour with calm, practiced motions. Each movement is unhurried, as though time itself has stretched. In medieval life, after the early labor was done, rest was not considered laziness, it was wisdom. The body followed the sun, the mind followed the body. Edric removes his apron and hangs it carefully on its peg. The simple ritual signals completion. The work is finished. Nothing more is required. He glances once more at the silent loaf. It rests exactly where it should, golden, round, quietly perfect in its stillness. No one will touch it today. No one needs to. Its presence alone is enough. Edric feels a familiar ease in his chest, the kind that comes from knowing everything is as it should be. He moves toward the small room behind the bakery, where a narrow bed waits. Simple linen sheets, a wool blanket folded neatly at the foot. He sits down slowly, listening for a moment. From outside, sounds arrive softly, a distant cart wheel, a muted laugh, the flutter of a bird settling on a ledge. All of it feels far away now, as though heard through water or remembered from a dream. Edric lies back. The mattress creaks faintly beneath his weight, then grows still. He pulls the blanket up, feeling its familiar warmth, its gentle weight grounding him. In medieval times, many people slept in short rests like this: morning sleep, afternoon rest, nighttime dreams, their bodies guided naturally by light and labor. Edric closes his eyes, and perhaps now you can imagine doing the same, letting your eyelids rest fully, letting the muscles of your face soften, letting your tongue rest comfortably in your mouth. Nothing to listen for, nothing to anticipate, just the quiet. The silent loaf remains in the bakery, watchful, calm, holding the promise of fairness without effort. As Edric's breathing slows, the fire's glow dims slightly, settling into embers. Time passes, but it doesn't matter how much. In the soft space between waking and sleep, memories drift by, not sharply, but gently, like pages turning themselves. The scent of bread lingers in the air, fading slowly, comfortingly. Edric's breath deepens. Outside, clouds pass lazily across the sun, casting brief shadows that glide over the town, over the bakery roof, over the silent loaf within. The loaf does not change, it does not age, it simply is, and in that stillness there is safety. As the town continues its day, markets bustling, children laughing, bells ringing softly, Edric rests completely, untroubled, at ease. And you too may feel that same permission now, permission to rest, permission to let go, permission to sleep without effort.
There is nothing left to follow, nothing left to imagine, only the slow, steady rhythm of breath and warmth and calm. If thoughts arise, they can fade again, like footprints in flour, softly brushed away. The bakery remains, the loaf remains, the peace remains, and as the story gently closes its door, sleep opens its arms. Drift now, slowly, comfortably, into rest. Good night.